Hello. This is the second of two videos about the sinner's prayer. Continuing with the question about where free will comes into play, Romans 3:10-12 gives us some insight, as it is written, "There is none righteous, not even one, there is none who understands, there is none who seeks for God, all have turned aside, together they have become useless, there is none who does good, there is not even one." Here we see that our free will is to never follow God, but rather our own sinful desires. While the human capacity is freedom of choice, human depravity never chooses God. Because of this, God in His sovereignty chooses some for Himself, adding desire to their hearts, that they may follow Him. We freely choose the God who has sovereignly elected us. Although the limits of the human mind find this as well as other scriptural doctrines such as the Trinity hard to comprehend, human responsibility and God's sovereignty are both fully true and fully inseparable. So, if we know that we are individually responsible to God for not following Him, yet He has elected unto Himself some for salvation, is it truly necessary to get a person to repeat after you in order for them to be saved? Lastly, is there any scriptural example where Christ, the apostles, or other disciples ever instructed the necessity of praying a prayer to be saved? Granted, prayer is our means of communion with God, however, perhaps achieving another completion of the sinner's prayer by one to whom we are witnessing, is for our comfort in winning a numbers game, rather than in their best interest is to not provide a false sense of security to those who have not been converted, thus hardening their hearts against further evangelism? Just some food for thought. Is God sovereign or isn't He? Has Christ lost any whom God has appointed unto Him for salvation? Is the sinner's prayer a biblical mandate or a mere evangelistic tradition? As an afterthought, the biblical emphasis upon baptism confuses some into believing that it is a necessary element of salvation. Dismissing this myth, perhaps this emphasis, rather, is related to a public display of faith which has been replaced in purpose and popularity by the sinner's prayer in 21st century modern evangelism. After all, baptism is biblically an act of obedience used by the new believer to identify with Christ. Thank you for your time in considering this issue. May the Lord bless you.